We have seen what is CORS issue and why browser is throwing an CORS error when two different origin applications try to communicate with each other. But here we have a valid reason, like my UI application and backend application both are developed by same person or same entity, and they have to communicate with each other, and we should confirm that to browser so that CORS policy error should not be thrown by it. For that, let's try to make some changes inside our backend application to resolve the CORS issue. Firstly, I'll stop the server, go to our project security config where we have made all security related configurations. Here, inside this HTTP, if you go and look and search for CORS, there is a method CORS we have to call, and inside that method call configure source. That means I want to configure my CORS detail on the backend application. Inside that, you have to pass the configuration of CORS and try to import all the needed classes. And we should also have unparameter because CORS is a one configuration. On top of that, we should also want our Spring Security to consider these configurations as well. That's why we need a AND method in between them. So clearly now you can see here, I just call the CORS method and trying to call configure source where I'm passing all the configurations related to CORS class by overriding a method called getCORS configuration. It is obviously fine also if you want to create this entire configuration as a separate bean and your Spring Security is smart enough to identify CORS configurations. So here you can see I'm just trying to allow the origins from this origin only, which means any communication to this backend server will be accepted if the communication is coming from this domain or port number and host name. If you have multiple, you can also pass the multiple values. Allowed methods, HTTP methods, I'm saying all type of HTTP methods should be allowed, but if you have a specific requirement like only get and post has to be allowed, you can define that as well. Allow credentials true, which I'm setting, which indicates that credentials also should be accepted, and this has to be used in case of secured communication also. Headers, I'm saying all kind of headers has to be allowed. And max age, I'm just setting 3600 seconds, which means my browser will cache these configuration details for 3600 seconds. After that, it will try to make a fresh request to see whether the CORS configurations are valid or they changed or not. With this, we made CORS configuration and enabled our backend application also to pass this information to the browser whenever the pre-flight request happens, and it will pass all these values to the browser, which indicates that this backend application will accept the communication only from this origin. Now we are good to start our server. Let me go to the main class, right click on as Java application. Now I will also go to the browser. Let's try to close a previous session on the browser and open a fresh browser. In the browser, I'm trying to call localhost 4200, which will take me to the login page. Here, I'm just entering happy@example.com. 12345 is the password. On clicking the sign in, this time the sign in is successful and we are landed onto the dashboard, and you can see here this is the name that is coming from the database, hi happy, and you logged in as an admin role, which means that we resolve CORS issue successfully and established a secured communication between our UI application and the backend application. Let's try to click on the balance, which will return the balance and account transaction details of the user. Wow, but we are getting no response. Let's try to go to browser console and see what is happening. Here we are getting an error forbidden 403, which indicates that I can't make a call to this service, but we have passed valid credentials and we logged in into the application and everything has to work, right? But the reason that we are getting 403 is due to CSRF. But you may ask, how come login functionality worked previously? The login functionality works because that uses the get method. So CSRF will never throw whenever we try to use a get method. But CSRF will be thrown when you have a post method, because the reason is get will only try to get the data and display, whereas a post may result into saving or deleting the data. That's where we will get into CSRF issues when two different origins try to communicate with each other. Let's try to see what is CSRF in detail in the next video and resolve the issue also. Thank you and bye.